Hi guys, it's Debbie and today I'm here to speak about Mine. There will be spoilers throughout this video, so do check out the film before you watch this. Mine is a new Italian-American psychological thriller set in Afghanistan. At the beginning of the film, we find two soldiers. One is Mike, which is the main protagonist, which have to walk for many hours through the desert after a failed mission to reach the nearest town. Just before reaching the town, so 1 hour away from the town, one of the two soldiers steps onto a mine buried into the sand and it detonates, heavily injuring him. Mike, the main protagonist, starts to walk towards his friend but also steps in a mine. Now these mines are the kinds that will not detonate unless you lift your foot up. So as long as you keep your foot down on the mine, nothing will happen. So Mike is completely stuck, he can't move his foot. In order to avoid sufferance to himself and to Mike, his friend decides to take his own life. So Mike is completely stuck in the desert with hardly any resources, without anybody else around. His GPS doesn't work, can't move. He manages to get in contact with the rest of the team, but they can't manage to save him for another few days. So he has to try and survive sandstorms, the animals in the desert, dehydration, without ever moving his foot from this mine. He starts to hallucinate and see his dead friend talking to him, telling him what he should do in this situation. His vision's only interrupted by a local man that comes over to him. He walks over to him and starts to question his presence in the desert. This local man doesn't actually do anything to help Mike apart from giving him some water, but in the end, with his questions, he's the one that kind of saves Mike. The most important question is, why are you here? Now that might seem like a simple question, and Mike just obviously says because there's the war. And so the local man questions, but why is there the war? And as the questions go on, as the local man insists on knowing why Mike and the other soldiers are in Afghanistan, why they're fighting, and Mike starts to understand that everything he's done in his life has been a mistake, because he realises that he doesn't have an explanation for why he chose to be a soldier. His only explanation is because I didn't have anything left. He understands that in his life, everything he's done has been done through violence. He's always solved all his problems, all his issues through violence. He has been exposed since he was a very small child to violence because of his alcoholic father that would hit both him and his wife. But everything else in life after that, he did it through violence. Even his first encounter with his girlfriend actually started through violence in a bar. So he starts to understand that maybe he hasn't made the right choices in life, that maybe he's just chose this life as a soldier to get rid of his problems at home, to again solve his problems through violence. Another important thing the local man says is that every step you will take in life can be your last one. Now this sounds very philosophical and useless in the desert, because obviously that step that he's going to take is highly probably going to be his last one that will kill him. But if we see it on a bigger scale, as if we see it in all Mike's life, this is very important, because in life everything you do can be the last thing that you do. So it's easy to feel frustrated by the local man's words, but in the end they're actually the words that save Mike, because he then decides to return home to his girlfriend. Mine challenges us with all the atrocities and difficulties of war, but also with the deeper meaning. So why is there war in the first place? All the psychological effects of being in war, and why some soldiers choose this career. So Mine challenges us with a series of very important topics, in addition to the fact that it is a very good thriller. It is a very good psychological thriller, because we really are on the edge of our seats, trying to understand how Mike's feeling, trying to understand whether what he's seen is just in his mind or if it's reality. At some points the symbology was pushed a little bit too much. For example, the scene in which he kneels down in front of his girlfriend in the airport in exactly the same position he was kneeling down in the desert. I think that was a bit too pushed, but I liked how the director showed that every choice that we make in life is like stepping a foot on a mine. So every choice Mike made in life, so approaching his father or approaching his girlfriend in the bar and solving it with violence, all these situations are like pressing a mine. We see Mike's foot pressing a metaphorical mine every time he steps into one of these situations. situations. If you go forward, the mine might explode or it might not explode, but as the local man said, you always have to go forward. You always have to take that extra step and just see what happens, because every step you do can be your last, and that doesn't necessarily mean death, but it means you can encounter some difficulties. So altogether, Mine was a very, very interesting film. I really enjoyed Mine because in its simplicity it conveyed a much deeper meaning. Now, a lot of people have been complaining that Mine was too predictable, too simple, the trailer gave it all away, that a film couldn't be just 2 hours of him with his foot on this mine, but that's not the point of the film. We all knew that this was going to happen in the film. It's like 127 hours. We know that for most of the film this person is going to be stuck, because that's the whole point. It's a psychological film. So I know the audience was kind of split in reactions after seeing this. Let me know what you thought about Mine, if you enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought about it compared to maybe 127 hours, and I'll see you soon in a new video. Bye!